Hello everyone, it's Lennon, and today we are going to have a tarot play date. Now this is technically a VR to Tegan over at Cosmic Creeper Tube. I will leave her channel link below. She talked in a recent video, I think the video's name was like Tarot Lull, and how she's kind of been on a tarot hiatus, and I don't necessarily know if this is just because of the way her practice has been going, or if it's like literal tarot ennui, like overwhelm. But I kind of wanted to have a play date as the VR, if that makes sense. And that just means that I have like 8 decks here that I want to play with, but also talk about the fact that in my own practice, there is a lot more doing this, like playing around with decks and having tarot play dates with myself, where I just like pull in several decks at a time, look through the art, look through the cards, maybe try to find meaning between 2 cards that would, I guess, to an outsider look like a reading, but it's not a reading. So there is a lot more study, especially now. I mean, I'm always pretty much studying something in the Thoth. I'm always looking through the Rider-Waite and I'm always taking notes on those, at least those 2 systems mainly. And just like, I like to deep dive with my decks. And if I'm not in an active study session with any one of my decks, then usually it's just a thing that I'll try to pull out and look through them, find some common similarities between cards, how they read together, deck pairings, things like that. And I don't always talk about that on the channel, but today I thought I would just take y'all along on some kind of weird, rambly tarot lull, not so much card slinging play date today. And I guess this could be autumnal in nature, because these are decks that are actively like out for me right now. Not all of them are, I guess, hashtag, autumn spooky season decks, I guess you could say. Some of them, I guess you could say are, but some of them aren't. Like, I've got this is the Alchemical Tarot. This is a beautiful deck, okay? Like, this is actually one of those study decks that I pull out because I like to read up on alchemy and mysticism, and there's something about going through the stages of alchemy with this deck that really draws me in, and I like to find out what's going on in the cards and then expand that into actual alchemy study. And so this has, since I've gotten it, it's turned into a study deck. Look at that. I love how there's a unicrystal hexagram right here on the Queen of Coins. And if you're a Thoth user, you know that that's on the Thoth deck. That's like Crowley's symbol. I love the marriage of opposites. There's a huge part of my tarot practice that is all on not necessarily the marriage of opposites, but dualities, triplicities, and things that like automatically occur in nature. So I've got the Alchemical Tarot. The Barbara Walker Tarot is never that far from me, okay? This is just one of those witchy decks that that I love, and it gives me such a witchy vibe that I really, really love. I mean, it just seems like this is a Silver Raven Wolf. Silver Raven Wolf? What is it called? A Silver Raven, no, Silver Broomstick. Whatever the hell that is. Like those old witchcraft books, and the information you would get inside them. I feel a lot of that vibe coming through this deck, for real. But I can separate that for myself with this deck because I kind of have to, because my practice doesn't look like that. But I love to shuffle this. I wish it was bigger. I wish it was bigger. I love to just like shuffle this and, I don't know, get into it. Get into the magic of it, you know? And I do feel like when cards in this deck come up, I tap into the esotericism, the occultism of this. But then I'm also able to, like, I don't know, look at it in different ways and I guess get a little bit more mundane things out of it, I guess you could say. Let's just see what we got. This card is stalking me in this deck. Oh my God. I cannot be a virgin again, okay? I can't. It doesn't work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that. I can't become a virgin again. I'm sorry that you feel like I need to be a little bit more pure, but it's not going to happen, you know? I think that this, to be honest, I mean, realistically, I believe that this virginal Queen of Cups here, and when I mean stalking, I mean the last few times I have worked with this deck, this card has come up. And in one of those readings I did with this deck, it was like a 10 card damn spread, you know? And I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? But anyway, just to have it out here and we're not even like really doing readings and stuff, I kind of feel like, okay, your ass is trying to tell me something. I don't know what you're trying to say, but I always get this sense of I don't know, like, I know you want me to be more pure, but it just doesn't go backwards like that. But I think really what this Queen of Cups is trying to tell me is that I have been playing around a lot lately, especially as I'm pregnant right now. And, you know, the baby's moving and there's a lot of activity in the womb, if you will. And so I've been diving into my wild self more because I've been feeling, with the beginning of my pregnancy, I felt devoid of my wild self and my wild spirit. Just because I felt like with the womb, I had to be a little bit more protectress. And, you know, with my womb engaging in things, I felt like I had to be more protectress in nature than this wild without abandon, you know, person that I like to come to, or that I like to unlock. And then I kind of feel, looking at this card, that maybe I need to, you know, cool it with my wild self a little bit and get back to, you know, find ways I can add my wild self into my protectress mode. The protectress archetype that lives inside of me as I gestate. So, I don't know. Ooh, the Hermit. Oh, I love getting the Hermit in anything. And again, this isn't a reading. We're just playing, okay? We're just playing around with some decks here. Seeing what we can see. I like this Nine of Pentacles. I love to see pentacles kind of like in the Thoth. And as that's my system, I just like to see coins that look like coins, that look like actual tangible coins that I could like pick up off the card and use to buy things. In money, you know? I can shell out to someone some coins in which I obtain something that I really, really want, you know? And actually, this is just telling me in this moment that I've got a few things in my Amazon cart that I haven't pushed the buy now, but they're like actual items that I think I need, but I've just been questioning myself and thinking about these items to the point of nosebleed. But maybe this is telling me I should just push the buy now and forget about it. But then this goes back to her. How beautiful is this? How beautiful is this ice castle? And the fact that her igloo here is, or her ice cave. I don't want to use the term igloo. I don't believe that's politically correct anymore. But this ice cave that this person lives in is is a heart shape. Oh, that's so beautiful. But I feel like maybe in my hermit mode, I can embody this a little bit more and find out more about my wild self and my wild nature, the wildness of me. Okay. And then this kind of is new to me this year. I have not used it very, very much, or well, I'll say as much as I wanted to, but this is the Isolation Tarot. These are the backs. This very like apparition ghost-like figure lives on the backs of these cards, which I love. I love this deck. Now, I believe this to be Rider-Waite inspired, but I don't know. After using it a few times when I first got it, I was like, this is going to be a special deck, but I haven't really worked out how it's going to benefit me, right? Like, I really do need to sit down with it and have a deck interview. I don't always do that for new decks, but I feel like this one actually needs me to interview the damn thing, you know? Like, it's treating itself, like I feel like on my shelf and in my tarot drawer or whatever, this deck kind of feels like a new employee of mine. And it's like, okay, boss, I've been sitting in the waiting room for hours and hours and you still haven't called my name. Like, what's going on? You know, do you not want to know what my resume says? Do you not want to know what my strengths and weaknesses are? And so I kind of do feel like it calls to me from the abyss to tell me to interview it. And, you know, because of the doubt, you know, that I have with it and the fact that I'm not just immediately getting it out and playing with it, I kind of feel like it feels left out a little. But in order for it to feel ingrained, it would need that full-fledged interview. So maybe I'll get to that. Not today, but maybe I'll get to that sometime soon. All right, this one fell out, so we'll use that too. Oh, the adversaries, which is the lovers, which is an interesting take. I love the etherealness of this deck. And I kind of like that it's black and white. Like, I just like that. I kind of want to color it. I kind of want to color it, but I don't at the same time. I want to, like, if I had a color, like say I had a color for this, the color that, or colors that I would pick for this deck may change the next time I use it. And I would know that if I'd done the interview, you know? So I guess I'm just going to have to bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. Look at that. This Shadow of Caverns here looks very much like the Kraken when its mouth is open. And it just makes me feel like this is a devourer of something. And the suits in this deck are very obscure. But I love them. I love the suits. There's serpent's eyes, caverns. The serpent's eyes, caverns. Oh my gosh, what is the other one? I keep getting serpents, caverns, oh, and tentacles. So, love it so much. I do. I really do. And it needs to get its interviews so that I can get it out more than I do. Anyway. I think it's still available. It's an Etsy store thing. I bought a poetry book from the creator of this deck a while ago. I loved the poetry so much and then got back on their Etsy to stalk and realized they had a tarot deck. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's happening. So that's how that came about. And if the Etsy link and everything is still up, I will put it in the description below. Also got 6 of Caverns here. Now, I will read numerologically, but I will say that right now in my tarot practice, my main focus is Pythagorean numerology study, and I'm not good. Actually, fun fact about my YouTube channel. when my channel was a baby, I tried to put out some learn with me videos. And I put one out on numerology, right? And recently, and I mean recently, and it's been years, right? And sometimes when you have a video that's been out for a while and people know that, they won't always comment, right? They'll be like, oh, this was so long ago, I won't comment on this. But I got one and it literally was like, I'm so sorry, I'm cringing through this. And I laughed so hard because I was like, you're making me want to go back and rewatch this numerology video. I won't say I was a complete beginner, okay? Definitely not a tarot beginner, but I will say that in terms of numerology, I would consider that a beginner video for myself, not for my, peeps. But the fact that this person made it a point after 2 years to come on and say that they cringed through the entire thing, I laughed so hard. And I don't know if I commented back, but I wanted to comment back. I'm so sorry that it was cringeworthy, but it is what it is. Like, the only thing I could potentially do is make another numerology video, and it still probably wouldn't live up to your expectations. But whatever, like, if you got a numerology video talking to this person, I wanted to say, well, if you got one that would just explain every single thing, leave it in the description box for all of us, because I'm sure you're not the only one that's cringing in this video. But it was just, it's just like one of those humbling things that happen to you on YouTube. But anyway, so I do read numerologically. And especially in terms of like the Marseille system, I read numerologically. And with the sixes, I very much feel like this, actually exactly like this. Like there's a push and pull there, and it's like magnets. I think of sixes as magnets. There's an element, there's two elements, and they're either coming together or being forced apart. And it's just about how these things interact, how stable one is, how stable the other one is, and how they're going to interact, right? And in Caverns, the creatrix of this deck talks about caverns being very womb and vulva-like in nature. I can feel the magnetism of these caverns coming together to form the focal point here. And it's not like it's coming to a point. It's almost like it's coming to a jagged point. But then at the end of these lightning bolts, which are supposed to be caverns, I kind of think of these as rips or tears in reality, or possibly even tears in stone that you can slip through. Like, very much like like in real life, cave entrances aren't necessarily always perfectly round. There's some jagged edges to them. There's, you may have to sacrifice something to go inside, things like that. So I kind of feel this happening in this image, but who knows? Okay, let's get some more decks out. I'm gonna leave Adversary and put them over there. All right, so I've adjusted the camera a little bit so we can get more cards in the picture, okay? Do I want to get this out? Sure, why not? Okay. This is the Bosch Tarot. Now, I know that there is a new Bosch. Technically, there's a new Bosch out right now by Travis McHenry. Now, as a lover of Hieronymus Bosch, and I guess largely a lover of Travis McHenry, and the work that he's done. I only own one of his decks, but I do think that he's done a good job in deck production. Okay, I'll say that. But I've not been interested in the new Bosch, because what he did was, instead of just doing what this person did and taking the Bosch pictures, the Bosch art, and making it into a tarot deck, he did a little, he went a little extra with it. He made his own suits. And it actually went outside of a normal tarot structure. Look, as clever as that may be, going way outside the tarot structure, the tarot system, that's not my thing. And I mean that in quite literally, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to put my money on it. So sorry, Travis, but I'm just not going to do that. Plus, this particular Lo Scarabeo edition of Bosch Tarot fills the void, okay? It fills the void of needing a tarot deck in a tarot structure that just happens to house Bosch's crazy realms. I don't consider Bosch's stuff crazy. I don't consider it creepy. I consider it a look into the mind mapping of this incredible artist. And if that looks creepy, I don't know, maybe you should look at it a little bit more. I think it's beautiful. I think that the surrealist nature of Bosch taps us into the collective unconscious. I believe that. I believe it wholeheartedly, that when we look at certain surrealists, I can tap into the collective unconscious with surrealism and with abstract expressionism, with blobs of color. I don't know. I can tap in, and it's almost like I'm having a conversation with the entire universe. And sure, the universe may have me in its mouth while I'm shitting birds out, like what happens in a Bosch painting. But what does all that mean? What does that say, right? What could it be saying? Oh, so many cards fell out. You know what? No. I'm going to put these 3 back. It's going to be like a poker game or something. I'm going to put those 3 back and get 3 more off the top here. All right. 5 of Pentacles. Look at this. I mean, really? This figure with like this trumpet nose almost makes me think of an anteater. This incredible, like, this is making me think of the 5 senses and how incredibly in tune with the senses this figure is. But then, like, and how he's using his huge nose to sniff out the right pentacles, and then, you know, of course, picking them up, you know, kind of like they're trash, like going around and finding the real gold on the beach, you know. And he's got his little staff here that houses the wands, but it's almost like he's going around picking up trash. And then he will use his senses and use his big, gigantic trumpet nose to discern which one's real gold and which one's fake. It's like my immediate intuition thing I get with this 5 of Pentacles here. All right, what else did we get? Oh, we got the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is a hot tub, right? Okay, there. I'm kind of zoomed in on this figure. Now, you know, if we were to, I don't know, tap into this a little bit, we've gotten 2 5s. Both of them seem to have big noses. I do think of it in terms of discernment here, like this, he's picking up the trash, discerning between gold and fake. But this hot tub guy has a big snout as well, but there seems to be some battling happening. I think that with this 5, like he's trying to keep people out of his hot tub. And then these are kind of like the stakes that you would put out in front of your castle that would impale an army coming at it. That's what this looks like to me. Like this is a blockade of some kind. So this is a boundary. This is a physical boundary. This is my hot tub. I've worked hard for this hot tub. I'm the only one that can use this hot tub. So that's kind of where I'm getting to that. But then the last 2 cards of the Bosch Tarot that we got was the 9 of Cups and the Knave of Cups, which is the page. We've got 2 knaves. Or did we get a knave here? No, we didn't get a knave. I was showing you the knave in that other deck. Now, the Page of Cups is all, like, to me, this, like, daydreamer. And they're way out there with their thoughts and their emotions. And I guess they want to be deeper than they are in a given moment. So that's what I think of this. I also like the armor, this weird armor that this guy's got going on. I like this. But then the 9, this is all over the place. But this is making me think, go with me here. This card makes me think of the things that we build when we were playing, okay? Forts, that's what I want to say. When I build forts, I get all my blankets out, I'm getting clothespins out, I'm using hair bows, like those rubber band hair bows that, you know, we people that have long hair have to ponytail it up. But I get all those supplies out to make my fort, right? And I kind of feel like this little ship sail here is a blanket that I would have gotten out to build a fort. So I'm in the process of building a fort here. And the fort is, again, another boundary, another safe place that I can go to, but it's all in terms of play. It's not necessarily that I am unsafe. It's just there's something mysterious and magical about building a fort and then you going inside and hiding in this liminal space that you've built, you know? Maybe this guy is wanting to build a fort. Maybe inside the fort, that's where we will determine what's gold and what's fool's gold. And we need to have a little bit more imagination when we're doing all this. Again, this is not a reading, I'm just playing around, okay? This is like how tarot play dates for me go. Now, recently I got this courtesy of my fairy godmother, okay? And I have been loving working with the Tarot of the She. Oh my good goddess. Whew. It is sending me on so many journeys with the other world. And tapping into a little of my imagination. So that's always, it's always nice to get back in touch with. I don't consider the imagination inner child work. I know some people may say, like, when I talk about in terms of like building forts and using my imagination, I'm not talking in terms of inner child work. I have been known to make a fort and have Christmas lights in them and pillows and all my quilts because I collect blankets, and get in that damn thing myself, you know, as an adult, as an adult in touch with the concept of play, not necessarily to get in touch with the inner child. So, I will say that I do believe that adults can be in the know about play. It's just all on what people think play is. A lot of us, when we hit adulthood and we get hit with the responsibilities of adulting, we assume that we no longer have a tie with play because we've got too much on our plate, or that people will judge us for our sense of play. Like, oh, well, can't do that. You've got too much stuff to do. You've got just too much stuff to do. You know, you got like that adult, the severest adult you can think of is in the back of your mind going, don't you have something else you need to be doing? You know? Like, actually, I don't. Sorry, but I don't. I'm trying to move all this stuff out of the way so I can, let's do it this way. Put all these here. Whatever. I don't even care. They don't even have to look a certain way. I guess I just want them all in frame so that you're not seeing half a picture. All right. Tarot of the She is telling us what? Desolation. Desolation. Even the harsher cards in the Tarot of the She have this otherworldly feeling to them, okay? Let's zoom out a little. Okay, desolation. I love this face here, but I also love that this sword, because dreamers in this deck are swords, coming through what looks to be either the third eye or the mind in general, but this actually looks, it's making me think of an eclipse, right? Because these round things in the back make me think of a sun, right? And the age-old adage of the sailor's warning, you know, red in the morning, sailor's warning kind of a thing, where if the sun rises red, it means something. But this could just be the mind, and look at all these uprooted trees stuck to this. And I mean, these bloodshot eyes look like there's some problems going on. This like bloodbath happening in the bottom. I love that. But it's not filling me with dread so much as it's making me think of the mind, the chaos of the mind, but how we just have to clean it up. We just have to, in some realms, in some capacity, we have to clean the mind up. But I also like going back to this, where this, like, you know, this wonderment, this sense of play, it could just be a matter of clearing the brain, you know, just blank it out. Have a play date, you know. All right. I really want to use 2 more decks, so I'm going to. I don't care. Now, Mags's Tree Whisper Oracles, both of them actually, are really sacred decks to me. And I've been using the Secret Garden edition, which I believe she's doing more of. So I'll leave her channel link and her website below. Go check her out if you're interested in her decks and you haven't already acquired them. I think you have to do it by email, but I also know, I'm pretty sure it's just the Secret Garden Oracle that's coming back into print. I'm not sure if it's this one, but I have both editions and they're just really sacred decks to me. But I've decided to pull out the orange edition. Oh, I'm calling it the orange edition. This is the Tree Whisper Oracle itself. And then the Secret Garden edition is more green in nature. It's got more foliage on the trees. So anyway, this deck is so beautiful. Oh, okay. This is the one that wants to come to the top. All right. Challenge. Look how similar these look to me. Just like looking at like all this, you know, you got the adversaries here, you know, this duality, this cosmic duality, okay, hair flying everywhere. And then in the Tree Whisper, you've got this very, I mean, because of this deck being trees in mirror image of one another, I see this figure, or this figure right here. It looks like, put this down so I can see. Right here, looks like their eyes are covered up, or maybe they're wearing sunglasses and they have a nose and then maybe a mustache. So there's 2 faces and they're each facing a different way. Like I see the middle in the 6 here, this culmination of things coming together, magnetism. So we have magnetism from this, the magnetism pulling everything in here. These adversaries that are looking in different directions, but they're pulled, literally, quite literally pulled together by this tree spirit. And the card's called Challenge, so that makes sense to me. And then we have this, which is Desolation, which is the clearing of the mind, right? Using my senses, getting in touch with play. Maybe in terms of coins, you know, what can we acquire, even if it's not a material thing, if it's not a tangible thing, what can we acquire, right? That will aid us in these practices that they're in. All right, last deck. I do love this deck. It's my favorite deck of all time. Oh, what's going on? It's my favorite deck of all time, but I do tend to get it out this time of year. Only because it holds so much magic for me that if I used it all the time, I kind of worry that it would lose its magic. And I say this often, but it's kind of like having your Christmas decorations out all year. You want to be able to pull them out and do the work. And like the fort, largely like a fort. You don't want it up all the time. It loses something. It loses the je ne sais quoi that is the fort itself. So for me, I like to be able to pull things down and the work therein, and then build things back up when it's their time. And I feel like the Tarot of the Crone is that deck for me. I want to be in the act of tearing it down, tearing my practice with it down at the end of the season. And then when the season calls for it, pull it back out and play with it some more. So anyway, what are we thinking? What are we thinking? One card? I really want this deck to be the limelight, as this is our last deck here. I pulled several others out, but I don't want to use those. I've changed my mind. As this is a play date, we're just going with it. All right, let's put one here, and one here, and one here. Oh, ooh, look at the star. Ooh. Thinking one more, but I think I'm going to shuffle the deck again. And I will wait to do that at the last second. Okay. So we got the star, got the Beast of Swords, Beast of Burden, and then we have the 9 of Discs, okay? Funny how we've got 2 5s here, we've got 2 9s here, and like here we have the Wands and Pentacles, and here we have Pentacles and Cups. So sometimes it's nice in tarot to see what's missing, what's there, blah, 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 blah. But this 9 of Discs makes me think of community more. This makes me have a community, more of a community mindset than just like a fort. So this is a bigger picture card, you know. And then this Beast of Swords is quite literally the raven on the wind with messages. That's what this card means to me. The raven that's coming, and it's got a message, and it's flowing on the wind, and if it drops a feather, it means something. You better pick it up. And then the star, very much kind of along the same lines, is cloak full of stars. You know, I'm a sky full of stars. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do about it? And it's actually this is making me think about my upcoming baby shower, which is a celestial theme. So stars, moons, you know, glitter and shimmering iridescence. I don't know. I love celestial parties. I love the look of celestialism. So this star is actually making me think of the future. So that makes sense to be over here. Like, let's look to the future a little bit. You know, it's so cool that we've done this today, but remember, the future holds some magic too. It doesn't always have to, you don't always have to find the cool stuff in the now. You have to have hope. You have to have things to look forward to, things in the future that you are going to look forward to, or that you will look forward to. Dropping cards. I'm not used to shuffling at this angle. All right, now we're going to pull one last card to really give the Tarot the crown its limelight here in this video. Let's see. She wants to be shuffled. Okay. Ba-bam. Ooh. Oh, I love this. Three of Cups. Look at that. I love the sense of, I love the pink. Okay, first of all, I love the pink, but I also love that this, on the outside of this, is this. Because the stars, and then there's a little bitty hint of the purple, if y'all can see. Let's zoom in a little. There's the stars, and then there's the hints of purple, which make me think that it's nodding back to the star card as an archetype. And also that they have the star on the third eye here. And so does the guardian. I'll call it the guardian. It looks kind of like mother and child to me. Mother, maybe even Madonna and child. It looks very protecting. It does. It looks very protecting in nature to me. Like a teachable moment. This is very much a communion, but a teachable moment at the same time. Maybe a quiet moment with someone. An important moment, right? All right. Now that's it. This is a tarot play date. I get some cards out. I look at them. I look at them together. I look at them separate. Really doesn't matter. I could have done this 100 different ways. And so can you. You can do it 100 different ways. But I don't know. So cool to think about them all together. And you know, them all together and all separate, and just the act of playing with your cards and the act of shuffling them, I think, is enough of a practice to do things with, you know? Like, pretty much your decks are always telling you, this is all you have to do. You don't have to do more than this. So, okay. Trying to clean up here. I do always like to try to just pick up the deck and put a card back in randomly so that it's not just sitting on top, you know, for me next time. Maybe that's just some weird tarot quirk of mine. Maybe I'll map this out like the thumbnail. For the thumbnail, I mean. Okay. Hope this tarot playdate was fun. Tegan, just know that you're not alone, and that I too go through lulls with the cards where I don't sling for myself very often. I don't read for others, so, you know, there is that. But I go through bouts where I don't sling cards for actual readings, like for actual messages. But sometimes I just like to get multiples out and just play with them. So you're not alone, definitely. But I hope this was fun. And I hope that y'all are all enjoying your decks, if nothing else. Much love.